The once vibrant skies over the Cylon homeworld were now ablaze with the fiery trails of enemy ships. For centuries, the Tylons had cherished the peaceful solitude of their lush, verdant planet, but those days of tranquility had come to a devastating end. A relentless onslaught by a coalition of hostile alien races had descended upon them, intent on crushing the Cylon civilization and seizing their advanced technology for their own nefarious purposes. The Cylon defense forces fought valiantly, but they were vastly outnumbered and outmatched by the sheer firepower of their adversaries. In the Grand Council chambers, the Cylon leaders convened in a frantic meeting, their faces etched with grave concern. "We cannot withstand this assault much longer," lamented Councillor Zilara, her voice trembling. "Our shields are failing, and our cities lie in ruins. We must find a way to evacuate our people before it's too late." Her colleague, Councillor Braden, nodded gravely. "We have already dispatched our fastest ships to search for a suitable refuge, but the options are dwindling. Too many of our allies have already fallen victim to the onslaught of these merciless invaders." The chamber fell silent as the council members contemplated their dire predicament. The Tylons were a peaceful, technologically advanced species, but their pacifist ways had made them easy targets for the more aggressive civilizations that sought to exploit their resources and knowledge. Suddenly, a young lieutenant burst into the chamber, his face alight with a glimmer of hope. "Counselors, we have detected a promising planet beyond our solar system, one that may offer sanctuary for our people." The counselors leaned forward, their interest piqued. "Tell us more, Lieutenant," Zilara commanded. "The planet is called Earth, and it is inhabited by a species known as humans. Our preliminary scans indicate that they possess a level of technology that, while not as advanced as our own, may be sufficient to provide refuge and protection from our attackers." Braden stroked his chin, considering the lieutenant's words. "Humans, you say? What do we know of this species?" "They appear to be a relatively young civilization, just beginning to explore their own solar system, but they have shown remarkable ingenuity and resilience in the face of their technological limitations. More importantly, they seem to possess a strong sense of empathy and a desire for peaceful coexistence, unlike the warlike races that have besieged us." The counselors exchanged hopeful glances. "Then it is settled," Zilara declared. "We must make contact with these humans and seek their aid. Prepare our fastest ships for a desperate voyage across the stars. We have no choice but to place our fate in the hands of this distant, unknown civilization." As the Cylon fleet launched from their doomed homeworld, the refugees watched in anguish as their once thriving cities crumbled beneath the relentless bombardment. Tears streamed down their faces, but their determination to survive burned brighter than ever. "We will find a new home, my people," Braden announced, his voice carrying a tone of unwavering resolve. "The humans will not turn us away. They must not, for the sake of our very existence." The Cylon ships, their hulls scarred by the battle, streaked through the vast expanse of space, their occupants clinging to the fragile hope of a new beginning on a distant, uncharted world. The fate of their civilization now rested in the hands of the curious, compassionate species known as humans. As the Tylons drew closer to their potential saviors, they could only wonder what the future held. Would the humans welcome them with open arms, or would they face yet another devastating rejection? The answer to that question would determine whether the Cylon race would vanish into the annals of history, or whether they would find a new home and a chance to rebuild their shattered lives. The Cylon ships, their hulls scared and their crews weary from their desperate flight, emerged from the vastness of space and entered the orbit of the small blue-green planet known as Earth. For the Cylon refugees, this alien world represented their last, best hope for survival. Councillor Zilara stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, her eyes fixed on the swirling clouds and landmasses below. "Begin the initial scans," she commanded, her voice calm and measured, belying the turmoil within. "We must learn as much as we can about these humans before we make our presence known." The Cylon scientists and technicians got to work, their nimble fingers dancing across the holographic displays. Streams of data flowed across the screens, revealing the diverse cultures, technological advancements, and societal structures of the human civilization. "Fascinating," murmured Counselor Braden, who had joined Zilara on the bridge. "These humans have progressed remarkably, considering their relatively short history. They have developed complex governmental systems, advanced modes of transportation, and even rudimentary space exploration capabilities." Zilara nodded slowly, her brow furrowed in contemplation. "And yet they also seem to be plagued by conflicts and divisions within their own species. This could complicate our efforts to seek their aid." The lieutenant who had first discovered the existence of Earth now approached the two council members, his expression grave. "Counselors, our scans have also detected numerous armed conflicts and instances of violence between human factions. We must tread carefully, lest we become embroiled in their own internal struggles." Braden placed a reassuring hand on the lieutenant's shoulder. "We have no choice but to take that risk, my friend. Our people's very survival hangs in the balance. We must make contact with these humans and pray that they will see us as allies, not enemies." With a deep breath, Zilara turned to the communications officer. "Initiate the first contact protocols. Let us hope that the humans will be receptive to our plea for assistance." Across the globe, the appearance of the Xylon ships in Earth's skies did not go unnoticed. Governments and military forces around the world scrambled to respond, their sensors and communication networks all but overwhelmed by the presence of the alien vessels. In the halls of power, world leaders convened hastily to discuss the unprecedented situation. Some voiced concerns about the potential threat posed by the extraterrestrial visitors, while others argued that this could be an opportunity to forge a new, groundbreaking alliance. Amidst the heated debates, a young diplomat named Evelyn Sinclair emerged as a voice of reason and pragmatism. "We must approach this situation with caution and diplomacy," she urged her fellow representatives. "These aliens, the Tylons, are clearly in distress and seeking our aid. If we turn them away, we may miss a chance to learn from them and potentially strengthen our own position in the galaxy." Her words carried weight, and slowly a consensus began to emerge. The United Nations Security Council, after much deliberation, authorized a diplomatic team to make first contact with the Xylon refugees. As the Xylon ships received the human response, a palpable tension filled the air on the bridge of the lead vessel. Zilara and Braden exchanged a tense glance, their fingers poised over the controls. "The humans have agreed to receive our diplomatic envoy," the communications officer announced, her voice betraying a hint of relief. "They have provided coordinates for a neutral meeting location." Zilara nodded, her expression unreadable. "Then let us not keep them waiting. Prepare the envoy team for immediate departure. The fate of our people rests on the outcome of this first encounter." With a sense of trepidation and hope, the Cylon diplomatic party descended through the Earth's atmosphere, their advanced craft cutting gracefully through the clouds. As they approached the designated meeting site, they could see the anxious faces of the human representatives, their expressions a mix of curiosity and caution. The stage was set for a pivotal moment in the history of both civilizations. Would the Cylons find the sanctuary they so desperately sought, or would they be turned away, doomed to wander the stars in search of a home? The arrival of the Xylon ships in Earth's skies had sent shockwaves through the global community. News of the alien visitors spread like wildfire, sparking a wide range of reactions from the human population. In the bustling streets of major cities, crowds gathered, their faces a mix of awe, curiosity, and apprehension. Some cheered, seeing the Tylons as potential allies and a chance to expand humanity's horizons. Others, however, expressed fear and mistrust, calling for the immediate removal of the extraterrestrial invaders. The United Nations Security Council convened in an emergency session to discuss the diplomatic and security implications of the Cylons' presence. Around the ornate mahogany table, the representatives of the world's most powerful nations exchanged heated arguments, each voicing their own concerns and agendas. "These Xylons claim to be a peaceful civilization seeking refuge," said the Russian delegate, his brow furrowed in suspicion. "But how can we be sure they are not some advanced alien race bent on conquering our planet?" The American representative countered. "We cannot simply turn them away without understanding their situation. The potential benefits of establishing an alliance with an extraterrestrial species far outweigh the risks." Evelyn Sinclair, the young diplomat who had advocated for a diplomatic approach during the initial response, now found herself in the center of the debate. "Honorable representatives," she began, her voice calm and measured, "we must approach this situation with caution, but also with an open mind. The Tylons have come to us in a time of great distress, and it is our duty as the stewards of this planet to at least hear their plea for assistance." Her words carried weight, and slowly the members of the Security Council began to consider the merits of her argument. After hours of intense discussion, a decision was reached. A diplomatic team would be assembled to make first contact with the Cylon representatives and explore the possibility of granting them asylum on Earth. As the Xylon envoy, led by Counselor Zilara, descended upon the designated meeting site, they were greeted by a diverse group of human diplomats and security personnel. Tension hung thick in the air, and both sides approached the encounter with a mix of caution and curiosity. Zilara, her regal bearing betraying none of her inner trepidation, stepped forward to address the humans. "Greetings, representatives of Earth. I am Counselor Zilara, and I come to you on behalf of the Cylon people, seeking your aid and sanctuary." The head of the human diplomatic team, a seasoned veteran named William Harrington, inclined his head in acknowledgement. "Counselor Zilara, we welcome you and your people to our world. We have been authorized to hear your plea and to explore the possibility of providing the assistance you seek." Relieved by the humans' seemingly receptive tone, Zilara launched into a detailed explanation of the Cylons' predicament. She described the relentless attack on their homeworld, the destruction of their cities, and the dwindling options for their desperate people. "We have come to your planet, humble as we are, in the hope that you will see us not as a threat, but as potential allies. Our technology and knowledge may prove invaluable to your own civilization, and in return, we seek only a safe haven to rebuild our lives." Harrington listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought. "Your situation is indeed dire, Counselor. However, you must understand that the decision to grant your people asylum on Earth is not one that can be made lightly. There are many concerns and complexities that we must address before we can commit to such an arrangement." The tension in the air thickened as the Cylon envoy exchanged anxious glances. Zilara steeled herself, knowing that the fate of her people hung in the balance. "We understand your caution, but time is of the essence. Our ships cannot sustain much longer in your orbit, and our people grow weary and desperate. I implore you, representatives of Earth, to consider our plea with urgency." Harrington raised a hand, silencing the murmurs of the human delegation. "Very well, Counselor. We will take your request under advisement and convene to discuss the matter further. You and your people shall remain in your ships, under observation, until a decision is reached." As the Cylon envoy returned to their vessels, the weight of uncertainty hung heavily in the air. The future of the Cylon civilization now rested in the hands of the humans, whose response would determine whether they would find the sanctuary they so desperately sought, or be condemned to wander the stars, forever adrift. After days of tense deliberation, the representatives of the United Nations Security Council reached a historic decision. They would grant the Cylon refugees asylum on Earth and allow them to integrate into human society. The news spread quickly, igniting a range of reactions across the globe. Some welcomed the Cylons with open arms, eager to learn from their advanced civilization and form a new, unprecedented alliance. Others, however, voiced concerns about the potential risks and challenges of integrating an extraterrestrial species into human affairs. As the first Cylon ships descended upon a designated safe haven on the outskirts of a major human city, A crowd of curious onlookers gathered to catch a glimpse of the alien newcomers. The ramps of the sleek, angular vessels lowered, and a steady stream of Cylons began to emerge, their features a mix of awe and trepidation. Among them was a family of three: the patriarch, Tivian, his mate Elysia, and their young offspring, Kyla. Tivian's eyes darted from one human to the next, his posture tense, while Elysia gently clasped Kyla's hand, offering her a reassuring smile. "It is unlike anything we have ever seen, my love," Tivian murmured to Elysia, his voice tinged with both wonder and unease. "These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. I only hope they will indeed grant us the sanctuary we so desperately seek." Elysia nodded, her expression resolute. "We must have faith, Tivian. For the sake of our daughter and all our people, we must place our trust in these humans and their willingness to accept us." As the Cylon refugees began to explore their new surroundings, a team of human scientists and diplomats approached them, eager to facilitate the integration process. Leading the group was a brilliant young researcher named Emilia Novak, whose fascination with the Cylons' advanced technology had driven her to volunteer for this historic mission. "Greetings, friends from the stars," Emilia said, her voice warm and welcoming. "On behalf of the people of Earth, we welcome you to our world. We are here to assist you in any way we can, to help you settle and adapt to your new home." Tivian eyed the human woman with cautious interest. "Your people have agreed to grant us asylum, then?" he asked, his tone laced with a hint of disbelief. Emilia nodded emphatically. "Yes, indeed. The leaders of our nations have decided that the benefits of an alliance with your people far outweigh the risks. We are eager to learn from you, and to share our own knowledge and resources in return." Kayla, the young Cylon girl, stepped forward, her wide eyes filled with wonder. "You mean we can stay? We won't have to keep running from those who wish to harm us?" Emilia smiled and knelt down to the child's level. "That's right, little one. You and your family are safe here. We will do everything in our power to protect you and help you build a new life on our world." Elysia, who had been observing the exchange, felt a surge of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, human," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea how much this means to us. We have lost so much, but now we may finally have a chance to rebuild." As the Cylon refugees began to disperse, exploring their new surroundings with a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, Emilia turned to Tivian, her expression earnest. "I know there will be many challenges ahead, as our two civilizations navigate this uncharted territory. But I give you my word, on behalf of all humanity, that we will do everything in our power to make you feel welcome and to help you thrive." Tivian's features softened, and he placed a hand on Emilia's shoulder in a gesture of cautious trust. "Then we shall do our part as well, human. We may be a weak species in the eyes of our former oppressors, but we have much to offer. Together, I believe our peoples can forge a bond that will echo through the stars." With that, the Cylon patriarch turned and rejoined his family, his steps a little lighter, his spirit a little more hopeful. The future, once shrouded in darkness, now held the promise of a new dawn, one where the Cylons and humans could build a shared destiny, united in their quest for understanding and peace. As the Cylon refugees began to settle into their new home on Earth, the initial apprehension and mistrust between the two civilizations slowly began to give way to a budding sense of cooperation and understanding. In the scientific laboratories and research facilities across the globe, teams of human and Cylon experts worked tirelessly, sharing their knowledge and collaborating on groundbreaking projects. The Cylons' advanced technological prowess, once a source of fear, now became a beacon of hope for humanity. Emilia Novak, the young human scientist who had welcomed the Cylons, found herself at the center of these collaborative efforts. She marveled at the Cylons' mastery of fields like energy production, materials science, and interstellar propulsion, technologies that far surpassed anything humans had yet to achieve. The potential applications of these Cylon innovations are truly staggering, Emilia said during a meeting with her colleagues. Imagine the impact they could have on our energy crisis, our ability to explore the solar system, or even our medical capabilities. We must do everything in our power to learn from them and integrate their knowledge into our own civilization. However, as the Cylons' influence grew, so too did the concerns of certain human factions. Some saw the extraterrestrial refugees as a threat to their own power and influence, while others harbored deep-seated prejudices that made them wary of the Cylons' presence. One such individual was General Marcus Blackburn, a high-ranking military officer who had been tasked with overseeing the Cylons' integration and security. Despite the apparent peaceful intentions of the Cylons, Blackburn remained convinced that they posed a grave danger to humanity. "These aliens may have us fooled with their acts of cooperation and goodwill," he growled during a private meeting with his advisors. "But make no mistake, they are hiding their true strength and capabilities. We must be vigilant, ready to neutralize any threat they may pose to our way of life." Unbeknownst to Blackburn, the Cylons were indeed concealing a remarkable secret about their physiology and combat abilities. While the humans had initially perceived the Cylons as physically frail and technologically superior, but militarily weak, recent events would soon shatter that misconception. It happened during a routine training exercise, where a group of human soldiers were testing the combat capabilities of their Cylon counterparts. The Cylon participants, led by a young warrior named Kilara, were expected to be easily overpowered by the seasoned human fighters. But as the exercise unfolded, the onlookers were stunned to witness the Cylons' remarkable agility, strength, and tactical prowess. Kilara and her team effortlessly evaded the humans' attacks, countering with lightning-fast strikes that left the soldiers reeling. General Blackburn, who had been observing the session, felt a chill run down his spine. "Impossible," he muttered, his face twisting with a mix of shock and alarm. "How can these weak aliens possess such formidable combat abilities?" The revelation of the Cylons' hidden strengths sent shockwaves through the human establishment, igniting a new wave of suspicion and fear. Suddenly, the Cylons' integration into human society became a source of growing unease, as the true extent of their capabilities remained shrouded in mystery. Emilia, caught in the middle of this escalating tension, found herself torn between her trust in the Cylons and the mounting concerns of her fellow humans. She knew that the key to bridging the divide lay in understanding the Cylons' true nature and intentions, a task that would require delicate diplomacy and an unwavering commitment to finding common ground. As the Cylons and humans grappled with this new reality, the stage was set for a pivotal confrontation that would test the fragile alliance they had so painstakingly built. The future of their coexistence now hung in the balance, with the fate of both civilizations hanging by a thread. As the Cylons continued to integrate into human society, a growing rift began to emerge within their own community. The initial gratitude and relief at finding a new home on Earth slowly gave way to an internal struggle over the direction of their future. On one side stood a faction of Cylons who welcomed the opportunity to fully assimilate into human culture, eager to embrace the technological advancements and societal norms of their new hosts. They saw this as a chance to shed their status as refugees and become true partners with the humans, contributing to the betterment of both civilizations. Leading this group was a young Cylon scientist named Elena, who had quickly risen through the ranks of the collaborative research teams. She marveled at the ingenuity and creativity of the human mind, and she believed that by fully integrating with their new allies, the Cylons could unlock even greater heights of innovation and progress. "We have been given a remarkable gift, my fellow Cylons," Elena declared during a spirited gathering of her supporters. "The humans have welcomed us with open arms, and they are eager to learn from our knowledge. By embracing their ways, we can forge a future where our two peoples stand as equals, united in our pursuit of a better tomorrow." However, not all Cylons were as eager to relinquish their cultural identity and traditions. A dissenting faction, led by the seasoned military commander Tivian, argued passionately against the notion of total assimilation. "We have already lost so much," Tivian growled, his eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "Our homeworld, our way of life. Must we now sacrifice our very essence to gain the humans' acceptance? No, we must hold fast to who we are, lest we become mere shadows of our former selves." Alesia, Tivian's mate, stood by his side, her expression resolute. "The humans may have granted us asylum, but that does not mean we must abandon our heritage. We are Gaktylons, and our people have survived countless hardships. We must find a way to preserve our identity while coexisting with our new allies." The heated debates within the Cylon community soon spilled over into the human world, as the two factions vied for influence and power. Some humans, like Amelia Novak, advocated for a more inclusive approach, encouraging the Cylons to maintain their cultural identity while embracing the benefits of integration. Others, however, viewed the Cylons' internal divisions as a potential threat, fearing that the conflict could destabilize the fragile alliance between the two civilizations. General Blackburn, still deeply suspicious of the extraterrestrial refugees, seized upon this opportunity to sow further discord. "These aliens are already causing dissension within our own ranks," Blackburn growled during a closed-door meeting with his military advisors. "We cannot allow their influence to spread any further. It is time to assert our dominance and bring them firmly under our control." Caught in the crossfire, Emilia found herself increasingly caught between the competing interests of both Cylons and humans. She knew that the key to maintaining the alliance lay in finding a delicate balance, one that respected the Cylons' cultural identity, while also integrating them seamlessly into human society. As the tensions escalated, the Cylons found themselves faced with a difficult choice. Would they surrender their cherished traditions and identity in exchange for the security and prosperity that their new home on Earth offered, or would they stand firm in their resolve to maintain their distinct Cylon way of life, even if it meant risking the fragile alliance they had so painstakingly built? The decision, fraught with the weight of their people's very survival, would ultimately shape the future of the Cylon-human relationship and potentially determine the fate of both civilizations. The growing divide within the Cylon community, coupled with the mounting suspicions of certain human factions, had set the stage for a volatile confrontation. As the debates and ideological clashes spilled out into the public sphere, the fragile alliance between the two civilizations teetered on the brink of collapse. At the heart of the conflict was the issue of the Cylons' influence and their perceived threat to human power structures. General Marcus Blackburn, still deeply distrustful of the extraterrestrial refugees, had been quietly rallying support among the more conservative and nationalist elements of human society. "These Cylons have done nothing but sow discord and undermine our way of life," Blackburn growled during a closed-door meeting with his political allies. "They have burrowed their way into our institutions, using their advanced technology to gain an unfair advantage. It's time we took back control and put them in their place." Amelia Novak, who had been a staunch advocate for the Cylons' integration, found herself caught in the crosshairs of Blackburn's campaign. As the young scientist continued to facilitate collaboration between the two civilizations, she became the target of a relentless smear campaign orchestrated by Blackburn's supporters. "Novak is nothing more than a Cylon sympathizer," one of Blackburn's aides declared during a heated televised debate. "She's willingly compromising our national security by handing over our most sensitive technologies to these alien invaders." The public outcry that followed threatened to unravel the delicate balance that Amelia and her team had worked so hard to maintain. Protests and rallies erupted across the country, with some human citizens demanding the immediate expulsion of the Cylons from Earth. Caught in the middle of this maelstrom, the Cylon leadership found themselves in a precarious position. Tivian, the military commander who had opposed full assimilation, argued for a more assertive stance. "We have been gracious guests, but now it is time to show these humans the true extent of our capabilities," he said, his voice laced with a hint of anger. "If they seek to drive us out, then we must be prepared to defend our right to a home on this world." Elena, the Cylon scientist, who had advocated for deeper integration, tried to reason with Tivian, her expression pleading. "Violence will only breed more violence, Tivian. We must find a peaceful solution, one that preserves our alliance with the humans. Our very survival depends on it." But as the tensions escalated, it became increasingly clear that the ideological divide within the Cylon community was mirroring the growing rift between the two civilizations. The delicate balance they had so carefully cultivated was teetering on the edge of collapse. Then, just as the situation seemed poised to spiral out of control, a new threat emerged, one that would test the resolve of both the Tylons and the humans, forcing them to set aside their differences and confront a common enemy. Sensors across the globe detected the presence of a powerful alien fleet, its advanced vessels cutting through the void of space and heading directly towards Earth. The devastating attack on the Cylon homeworld was about to be repeated. And this time, the fate of both civilizations hung in the balance. As the human military mobilized to defend their planet, the Cylons found themselves at a crossroads. Would they stand alongside their newfound allies, or would they seize the opportunity to secure their own survival, even if it meant betraying the fragile trust they had built with the humans? The choices made in the face of this looming crisis would not only determine the outcome of the battle, but also the future of the Cylon-human alliance. The stakes had never been higher, and the clock was ticking. The skies above Earth burned with the flashes of weapons fire as the Cylon and human forces engaged the invading alien armada. The fate of both civilizations hung in the balance as the once fragile alliance was tested by the overwhelming might of the enemy. At the forefront of the battle, Tivian, the resolute Cylon military commander, stood on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes narrowed with grim determination. After years of fleeing from their oppressors, he and his people had finally found a new home worthy of defending. "Release the full power of our arsenal," Tivian commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around him. "We will show these invaders the true strength of the Cylon race." The Cylon ships unleashed a devastating barrage of energy beams and missiles, their advanced weaponry decimating the enemy vessels. But for every foe they destroyed, more seemed to take its place, their sheer numbers threatening to overwhelm the combined Cylon and human forces. Amelia Novak, who had been coordinating the human response from a nearby command center, watched the battle unfold with a mix of awe and trepidation. She had always known that the Tylons possessed formidable capabilities, but the sheer power they were now wielding was beyond anything she could have imagined. "They're holding their own, but the enemy is too strong," she murmured, her brow furrowed with concern. "If we don't find a way to turn the tide, we may lose everything." Across the globe, human citizens watched the battle unfold, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and pride. Some had once doubted the Tylons and their intentions, but now they witnessed the extraterrestrial refugees risking their lives to defend their newfound home. General Marcus Blackburn, who had been a vocal critic of the Cylon integration, found himself grappling with the weight of his own convictions. As he observed the sacrifices being made by both Cylons and humans, he could no longer deny the shared bond that had formed between the two civilizations. "Damn it all," he growled, his fist clenching as he issued new orders to his troops. "We're not going to let those aliens fight this battle alone. All units, engage the enemy with full force." The human forces joined the fray, their weapons fire combining with the Cylons' advanced technology to push back the invading fleet. But even as they gained ground, the strain of the prolonged battle began to show, and Tivian knew that desperate measures would be required to turn the tide. "Elena," he said, addressing the Cylon scientist, who had advocated for deeper integration with the humans, "initiate the resonance protocol. We must unlock the full potential of our people, even if it means risking everything." Elena's eyes widened with a mix of horror and understanding. "Tivian, you can't be serious. The resonance protocol is our only chance." Tivian interrupted, his expression resolute. "For the sake of our people, for the sake of our new home, we must do what is necessary." Reluctantly, Elena began inputting the commands, her fingers trembling. As the Xylon ships began to glow with an ethereal energy, Amelia watched in awe, her mind racing to comprehend the implications of this new development. "What are they doing?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The answer soon became clear as the Cylon vessels unleashed a devastating wave of energy, sweeping across the battlefield and decimating the invading fleet. But the cost was high. As the Cylons themselves began to falter, their advanced systems strained to the breaking point. Tivian, his body racked with the strain of the resonance protocol, turned to Amelia, his eyes pleading. "Human, you must help us. Our people are weakening. We cannot hold out much longer." Amelia steeled her resolve, her mind whirling as she processed the implications of this new development. The fate of both civilizations now rested in her hands, and she knew that the choices she made in the next crucial moments would echo through the stars for generations to come. As the last of the invading alien vessels crumbled under the combined might of the Cylon and human forces, a deafening silence fell over the battleground. The skies, once ablaze with the fury of war, were now dotted with the drifting wreckage of a hard-fought victory. Amelia Novak, her eyes scanning the scene with a mix of relief and sorrow, rushed to the side of the wounded Cylon commander, Tivian. The once proud warrior lay slumped in his chair, his features etched with exhaustion and pain. "Tivian, hold on," she said, her voice soft but laced with urgency. "We've got medical teams en route. You and your people are going to be all right." Tivian managed a weary smile, his hand reaching out to grasp Amelia's. "You have proven yourself a true ally, human. I only wish I could have seen the end of this battle." Elena, the Cylon scientist who had championed integration with humanity, knelt beside her fellow Xylon, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Tivian, you have done more for our people than you will ever know. Your sacrifices will not be forgotten." As the medical teams tended to the wounded Xylons, the human and Cylon leaders gathered to assess the aftermath of the battle. The cost had been high, but the victory was undeniable. The two civilizations had stood together, their differences cast aside in the face of a common enemy. "Today we have witnessed the true strength of our alliance," declared the Secretary-General of the United Nations, his voice carrying a tone of reverence. "The Cylons have proven themselves to be not only our equals, but our most valuable partners in the defense of this world." Across the planet, the news of the Cylons' heroic actions spread like wildfire, sparking a wave of renewed respect and admiration from the human population. Gone were the days of suspicion and fear. In their place, a deep appreciation for the extraordinary abilities and unwavering loyalty of their extraterrestrial allies. Amelia, her heart swelling with pride, turned to Elena and Tivian, who had since recovered from their ordeal. "Your people have earned the trust and respect of all humanity," she said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Now the future is ours to build together." Tivian, his strength slowly returning, placed a hand on Amelia's shoulder, his expression solemn. "Indeed, human, but we must not forget the lessons we have learned. Our peoples have overcome great adversity, and in doing so, we have forged a bond that transcends the boundaries of our civilizations." Elena nodded in agreement, her gaze sweeping across the bustling scene of human and Cylon scientists and engineers working side by side. "We have found a home here, Tivian, and with our combined knowledge and resources, I believe we can do more than merely survive. We can thrive and forge a future that surpasses even our wildest dreams." In the months that followed, the Cylon integration into human society deepened, with the two civilizations embarking on a new era of unprecedented collaboration and progress. Cylon technology revolutionized fields ranging from energy production to space exploration, while human ingenuity and creativity sparked innovations that enriched the lives of both peoples. Amelia marveled at the transformation, her once cautious hope now blossoming into a boundless optimism. "We are building a new world, one where the boundaries between our civilizations have been erased. The Cylons are no longer refugees, but true partners in our shared destiny. As the decades passed, the legacy of the Cylon-Human Alliance echoed through the stars, inspiring other species to abandon their prejudices and embrace the power of cooperation. The two civilizations stood as shining examples of what could be achieved when differences were set aside in favor of a common purpose, to explore the mysteries of the universe and to forge a future where all sentient beings could live in harmony. And in the hearts of the Cylon and human peoples, the memory of their hard-won victory and the forging of their unbreakable bond would remain a testament to the transformative power of courage, resilience, and the unwavering belief in a better tomorrow.